So this is your first time at Louisville SuperCon, obviously, because it is a first-year show. Yay! Is everybody having a lot of fun?
Yeah.
Yes? Are we coming in from local, from out of town? Out of town? Out of town. Okay, let's play a fun game really quickly. Who's coming in from the furthest area?
Probably Bowling Green.
Bowling Green. Anyone further?
Clarksville, Tennessee.
Clarksville. So we're Tennessee. Anybody else?
Arizona.
Everybody's like,
Arizona.
I don't know, Fort Lauderdale. I might have won.
She might wear.
I might
Truly, I
have
should say Cincinnati because I'm going to college in Bowling Green.
So part of your thesis is learning how to kill people. And that's what Jason did to whack people in the film.
Yes, the paper's going to be off of this.
Oh, it's going to be all bloody red. I can see it now, splatters.
So in case you guys weren't sure, this is c.j.graham, which is Hellcop, and he is also obviously Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. So, you ready to kick things off, CJ?
Yes, I am. Thank you for coming in, everybody.
So I'm going to start off.
Hold on. Excuse me, you're late. Get in front. Come on. We're waiting. We're waiting.
Okay.
We're waiting.
Spots right here in the front.
We're waiting. Did you bring a note from the president? We're waiting. Note from the president? Late. There you go. First question will be from you guys, so get ready.
He's so quick. He's so quick. So I'm sure we have a lot of Friday the 13th related questions, but to kick things off, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the really cool things you're a part of. I know you're really into horseback riding. Tell me about your horses.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know it, I have horses. I've got 3 of them actually. One's a Palomino. Her name is Cash. She's badass. She's 15.3 hands, which is a size, so she's a big one. I've got another one, a paint, black and white with blue eyes like a Siberian Husky, and his name is Desperado. His name explains who he is. He will put you on your back, as he has me. And then we have another one called Lady. Lady is just what she sounds like. She's perfect for Sedona. She's a perfect lady. Great riding horse. So, and then we have some alpacas too, by the way, for those of you. So, about 2 years ago, I retired from running the casino industry and bought a ranch, and I get out there doing the barbed wire. And for those of you that saw my intro for the SuperCon, I was on my horse talking to everybody, saying, "Hey, it's c.j.graham, come see me in Alice Cooper." And so, but that's my thing now that I'm just a little more relaxed and doing things other than wearing a suit and tie. I can do my tattoo thing, you know, and I can just be normal.
The funny thing about our office is when we ask celebrities, I work at SuperCon, we ask celebrities for videos, we all agree that yours was our favorite. So we're like, he's on a horse. He has a horse. That's so awesome.
Yeah, so, it was different. When I sent it to my guy Spencer, I said, "Take a look at it." I said, "Is that okay?" Because you know, I was trying to be different than just sitting in my bedroom. Hey, everybody! And I've seen some. They're nice. Don't take it wrong. But I'm like, what can I do that's different?
Yeah.
So I got up on Cash, and then I had my hat on. I was like, "Hey, it's c.j.graham," and she's moving left and right, you know. And she wanted to get camera framed so she could get her profile on it. So she's got it going back and forth, and then we just took off, and I was like riding in the wild, wild west.
So how long have you been into horseback riding?
I have always been into horses for years, but in fairness, it was just in the last year that I started buying horses.
Oh, okay.
I retired 2 years ago from running casino resorts, and bought a ranch in Arizona, so we have 40 some odd acres, and the ability to house horses, because, you know, it's just like children, don't have them unless you can afford them. And the warranty never wears out on children. For those of you who have children, you know what I'm saying, right? Horses, same thing. I mean, feed 3 horses about $500 a month. So you look at $6,000 a year plus maybe $1,000 in medical. You know, get their shots just like a dog. You have their shots every 6 months. So if you can't afford an animal, don't have an animal. If you can't afford a car, don't have a car. You know, I mean, put good tires on it so you don't hurt somebody.
Okay, so why don't you tell me a little bit about some of your favorite tattoos?
Well, what I did is about a year ago, I've always had tattoos on my back, and running casino resorts always wore suit and ties, so nobody would really see my tats, on my back at least. And then about a year ago, I had been retired for almost 10 months, and I thought, well, I'm going to do tats. I have a background of being Sweden, Norwegian, Viking, whatever you want to call it. And I had an artist in Kingman, Old Town Tattoo, designed shoulder down, entire sleeves, put them on paper so I could see them, because I wanted to see what I was going to do, because we could do it, it's permanent, right? So I went into the chair last January, and every Tuesday, I have it down to a system. Every Tuesday at 3 o'clock for 4 to 6 hours, I sat like this, like this, or like this, because no matter what anybody says, this shit hurts. I don't care how bad you think you are, it hurts. And you can't get drunk, you can't drink, and they don't give you pain medicine, you just gotta go. So, but it took me about 8 weeks to get them done. So everything is Viking related, Norse, and consistent. A lot of people do it differently. I was fortunate I could afford it because it is expensive, but a lot of people you'll see piecemeal it together over their life. Well, I can do this, I can do that. Some people's tattoos, like some artists, it changes over the span of their life, like music. Some people are in certain music and then their music shifts depending on their life. I was able just to go back to my history. Of what my DNA was to just put everything, so it was all Norse, Viking or weapons or stuff that had to do with crows and stuff like that.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone wants to know the #1 question. We're going to hop into Friday the 13th, part 6. How did you become Jason Voorhees?
Well, I'll just make it real simple. Any questions? 6'3", 250.
Intimidating, scary.
Intimidating, mind over matter, I don't mind, really don't matter. I was truly running a nightclub in Los Angeles, and I went to LA to consider Los Angeles PD or the Sheriff's Department. And I had a hypnotist on Thursday nights, and he decided to have a film crew come in and film his show so that he could put together a promotional videotape because he wanted to get into the network in Las Vegas or whatever. It just happened, a company called Real Effects, R-E-E-L, Real Effects, was the people doing the shooting and the promotion of it. So they came in to do everything, and they and him just decided to do where the subjects, the people who go under, are scared, and they decided to use Jason. Real Effects had done special effects for Long Friday the 13th. And they said, well, let's take CJ's big ass and put it into a Jason wardrobe because we have it. It's about the same size as Ted White. And sincerely, when I say the rest is history, it is. When I came through the screen with that wardrobe on, they just kind of looked at me and we're going to cast you for Jason. Well, yeah, I'm a photographer. Let me take your picture, take your clothes off. Okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? You think of BS. But lo and behold, a few months later, I get a call to go down to Paramount Studios and meet with Frank Mancuso Jr., Tom McLaughlin, the writer-director, and Michael Nomad, stunt coordinator for the part. Truth be told, I didn't get the part, is what it is. Didn't think anything of it. I was just honored, like, wow, I get to go sit down and talk about a movie. Unfortunately, the gentleman that did get the part and has a scene still in part 6, the first daily they came back, the daily is when they shoot for a day, they go, they bring it back, they just watch it on a big screen and get a visual of what they're going to do. This is before it's been edited. And the power, which you just indicated when I stood up, was not coming across screen. And within that first daily, they were like, they called CJ back, and the next day I was back down at Paramount Studios meeting with Frank Mancuso again, and then the following Monday I was on an airplane to Covington, Georgia to pick up the role.
And funny enough, it's Dan Bradley, right? Who played as the other Jason, which was during the scene of the paintballs.
The paintball, if you look at the, and it's no disrespect, a lot of people see the paintballs at the mid-chest, and they think, well, he looks a little thicker. Well, maybe he's wearing padding. Well, he's just thicker than I am. But I will tell you, Dan, and I've never met the man, but I will tell you, if you take a look at his profile, he's went on to do not just the acting, but he's been camera, producer, director, stunt coordinator for many well-known films, and been very successful on both sides of the camera.
So maybe Jason really, was that like the kickoff to his career, or?
He had been a stunt coordinator prior to that. One of the qualifications for the part was to be able to do stunts. And regurgitating, go back a little bit, I had never done a stunt in my life, let alone been on a movie set. So for me to do stunts, though I had the physical capabilities, I've never done it. So going back to that point, when I did a panel a few months back, myself and a friend of mine, Kane Hodder, and Steve Dash were on it, and Tom, and they were talking about their background being stuntman, and it was my turn, what school did I go to? And I said, why did you go to school? And Kane was like, when did you go to school? And I said, I go to school. you've never done a stunt? No, I've never. I just walked up and you said, I'm going to set you on fire. And I said, okay, how much do you think? Okay. And we're going to chamber in the water 20 feet. Okay. And we're going to do shotgun jerk back, throw you through some walls and beat the hell out of you. And I was like, what's going to get paid? So I just did all the stunts. I was fortunate I didn't get hurt. Nobody else got hurt, which is just as important, if not more. The actors and actresses were very good about allowing me to physically take their bodies. I mean, ladies your size, physically pick them up by their neck and throw it into a camera and stop as close as I get to the camera for that impression, or to physically pick them up, physically, and throw them around like a popsicle. And basically, it's the thing with the guys. They allowed me to take a real knife and thrust it towards your head. Real knife.
That's most of my life right there.
And stop.
Yeah.
This far back, and then we go into a collapsible knife. But he trusted me to do what I just did with a real knife. And you just can't go, you got to throw it, right? So, I mean, again, everybody was safe, but more importantly to me, it was just honorable that they trusted me.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I'm sure everybody has a bunch of questions, so I'm just going to say it's one question per person. Why don't you introduce yourself and go ahead and raise some hands.
First question, you're late.
All right.
Two, stand up.
Your name?
Justin.
Hi, Justin.
When you had the opportunity to reprise the role, you turned it down for Kane Hodder? Was it something that you guys discussed prior to that?
I do get the question is, I've been, Kane has told people the same thing. I was selected for part 7. So I was slotted for part 7. Frank Mancuso said, let's go back to the physical structure of work. Kane had worked with John, the writer-director, before, and Kane was a full-blown stuntman and a horror fanatic going back to the 60s like I was. So Kane approached John that he really wanted to play the Jason role. And John had, once he convinced John went to Paramount Studios to convince Frank Mancuso of Paramount Studios that we'd like to make the switch. So the rest is, like I would say, history. Kane did take the role of part 7, and then went on to do it in part 7, 8, 9, 10. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Next. You guys are dying to know this stuff. Come on. Anything fun? Okay, let's talk about maybe some of your underwater scenes. No, we're not done. I need some interaction. There we go.
My name's Dakota.
Hi,
What's
Dakota.
your favorite stunt to do, or favorite person to kill, I guess?
Well, I understood the question, what's my favorite kill? Because you left it wide open. I'll tell you my favorite kill, and I'll just to throw her, I'll throw you Kane Hodder's. Kane Hodder will tell you, if you've ever been to a panel, his favorite kill is the slip bang. Well, mine has always been the breaking of the sheriff's back. And I'm similar to Kane, I look at it from the power it would take to pick up a slip bang and punch somebody, to take somebody physically to pop them backwards. I mean, how cool is that? Sorry. So to me, that was my favorite kill. Now, Blood and Guts, I just thought was really cool. The twist, they had a sissy, which is like, a lot of things in those days were taken out of the films. They ended up, when they edited it, would hit the ground. And they wouldn't keep that tape. In today's world, they keep all the tape. So you can come back 15, 20 years later and do a director's edited cut. And they can reprise a film, whatever it is. But in those days, they just throw on the ground, snip it on, never see it again. But there was a lot of scenes that were put on the ground. Remember Horseshack, Welcome Back Carter? When his heart came out, it actually showed the artery pulsating and blood squirting out. To get those ratings would have had to be an X rating. Where today it would just be an R rating. So there were some really good kills. The sheriff's brain being popped, deputy, and the bloods pop up. And when you see it go on my face, but you actually got to see the brains come out. That's cool. Yeah. Cool. Well, you all in there listening to it, cool, right? Think about that. So I think there's a lot of ways of looking at some of the creativity that you can kill. I was fortunate enough to kill 18 people. I didn't go to jail, kind of like living in California today. So to me, it was just fun. Go on to the gentleman's question. It would have been fun to do 7 or continue. But I do give Kane Hodder a gold star as an ambassador for 4 films and the work that he's done in between other films, Hatchet, but more importantly, going out to the conventions like this one every weekend for the last 20 years and keeping the franchise alive so that I can come in like this, you know, after I sit back and retire and hang out with you and answer the questions and be part of this iconic image that has really become worldwide. I tell everybody the same thing, and maybe some of you have already said it too. If I hold a picture of, if I go to India or, you know, Indonesia, and I hold a picture of Tom Cruise, hey, it's Tom Cruise. If I hold a picture of c.j.graham up, who the hell is that? However, if I just put a hockey mask up, Jason. So it really has become an iconic franchise. It's a $1 billion franchise. And I think Sean Cunningham and those involved, Mr. Smith and some of the forthcomers before, Director Miner, Tom McLaughlin, et cetera, really, you know, I think they're all happy with what they created, not knowing today what it would become.
I was gonna say, going in, obviously, part 4, the final chapter, people thought this was the last time we were gonna see Jason, and then part 5 came back, and spoiler, but obviously Jason's not in the film, it's someone else. What do you feel like it meant to you to play Jason as Jason again in Jason Lives?
When I got the offer to do part 6, I wasn't a huge fan of the series per se.
Had you seen any of them?
I'd seen one of them, which was part 2.
Which is fantastic, Steve Dash.
And Steve Dash. And I had also been a big fan of the Lon Chaney Jr. Moore's call-up days, Frank the Mummy. You know, I mean, those were like bomb diggity to me. Those were the coolest. So Tom McLaughlin, the writer-director, was a big horror fan of the old school as I was, which kind of brought a connectivity to us when I got the part. He would sit me down and just kind of explain to me what he was looking for in the physical force. And if you think of the Frankenstein back in the old days, the curiosity factor with the little girl, when she hands him a flower, he doesn't, but he just looks curious, tilts his head. Those were some of the curiosity factors. To reprise the role, I didn't have any expectations going into it. Tom just said, this is what I want. I think part 6, and I could be selfish, but I think it was a good series contributor. It's right in the middle. It's not before, it's not after. I'm right as one of the bigger Jasons, size-wise. You got that James Bond opening that you all saw. I always say I get to come back to life like Frankenstein in the 60s. I got a Batman utility belt. How cool is that, right? And Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Alice Cooper did music. I mean, I got some cool things that maybe the other Jasons didn't get the opportunity to add to their contributions to the series. So, not knowing what we know today, I'm very proud of what we did, but I had no idea we'd be sitting here, you know, with 50 folks talking about a movie 30 some odd years later, and have all the questions and the fan base that we have. And I do contribute to the Jasons. If you've met the other Jasons, be it Derek Mears, Kim, her, or Steve Dash, I mean, they're all big people. Have you ever met Ted White? Anybody met Ted? Well, you have to meet Ted. He played number 4 that she was referring to. Ted White is 93. Tall like me, 6'4", you know, maybe not as thick as me, but he was John Wayne's double for years and years and years, decades. He worked with Cary Grant and all those type of actors. He's that old golden star. When he does a convention, he does 1 or 2 a year. He'll walk in with slacks, sports jacket, turtleneck sweater, kind of like Suave. Just the nicest man you've ever meet. And he'll just talk to you and just and he'll tell you the same thing. He did over 200 films. And he did not want credit for the Jason. His name was not in it. However, everybody knows him because of Jason. So he does all these films with all these big actors as A-frame, and he puts a hockey mask on, and that's what he's known for. Who knew?
So let's redirect to the audience. I know people have questions. Anything anyone's dying to know? Yes, back there. Your name?
Christine.
Hi, Christine.
So you said that you hadn't really done stunts before and everything. Was there a specific stunt in the movie that was just really difficult for you to do?
Well, Christine, you know, I don't think any more difficult because I didn't know what difficulty was. You know, as you heard me say, how much I get paid, I can do that. So I didn't really think of 2 and 2 equaling 4. I just thought the check's going to clear, I'm on it, you know. No, there wasn't anything that was difficult. I mean, I was 28-ish, you know. I'd been out of the military 7 years, basically. I felt that was relatively physical. And to me, it was just more of a challenge as an athlete to go do it. I do respect the heck out of it years later, looking back on it. I'll give you an example, I'm very proud of 2 of the stunts we did. Going through the door where the door blew away into the children's cabin, and where I blew the side of the building onto the children's cabin to step down and start to squish the head. I'm very proud of those 2 stunts because they were one take. And the reason you have to be proud of one take is it costs tens of thousands of dollars to set up a shoot like that. And the opportunity for me to blow through a door or step through a wall and glass and down about 10 inches, maintain my footing, one eye, was questionable, you know, and it doesn't matter how good you are, but it's just being lucky and having good footing. But both of those were one take, which saved us tens of thousands of dollars. And at the end of the film, when we got back to Los Angeles, Paramount Studios went to Tom McLaughlin and said, "You got more money left, we run the numbers, we need you to add some more kills." So we did 3 more kills in Griffin Park in Los Angeles to add to the other kills to make it 18. So difficulty-wise, I don't think so, because you're young, you're dumb. You think about money, sometimes you make dumb mistakes. But otherwise, I don't think there was anything that bothered me. I just thought it was kind of cool. You know, for those of you that have ever done scuba diving, you know, I was 20 feet underwater, just so you know. And when you're 20 feet underwater in an Olympic-sized pool, because that's the diving pools, if you go down deep, that chain is real, and they just stood me on the center block, lined the pool with black tarp, and shot at night, and I would just be physically chained, and then I would signal for air. Safety divers would just swim into frame, lift my mask up, because I couldn't see, and just stick a regulator in my mouth and clear it. And I'd take a few more deep breaths, and I'd let it go, and they'd pull it out, I'd put my mask back down and start fighting. So there is a level of confidence with your stunt coordinator, Michael Nomad, that he's going to keep you safe. So there were times in that night that I was like, you know, I can't get out of this because the chain is real, it's screwed on, and if I get to a point where I need oxygen, there's no way I'm going to get that unscrewed with gloves and get 20 feet up to the surface. It was impossible, so you just gotta, you know, take a deep breath and you know, just remember, hopefully, that the check's going to clear.
I was going to say that part 6 was definitely a kickoff and had a lot of influence on other films, such as Scream, bringing like comedy back to horror, but kind of also taking it seriously. How did you maintain to be such a serious character when so many hilarious aspects were going on throughout the movie?
You know, the interesting thing, Tom McLaughlin made it quite clear that he wanted to throw a little comedy in. He kind of liked the Abbott Costello, going back to the Frankenstein era. However, he was told by Frank Mancuso Jr. That you can do that, but don't make fun of Jason.
Okay.
Don't make fun of Jason. So anything Jason related is serious. But the thing about some people have a strange sense of entertainment, you know, and so what did you want to be when you grew up? Those were his sick twists. For those that you remember, the American Express card was very popular in the 80s. Never leave home without it was their slogan. Hey, never leave home without it. For that American Express card to go floating down the little pond, never leave home without it, you know, because she just got her head punched in. That was Tom McLaughlin's wife, by the way. So yeah, Nancy. But those were some of the cute, humorous things that Tom added to it. The interesting thing is there was going to be some twisting that had occurred where Tom had written in a little bit of a back script with the Elias Voorhees, Jason's father. Yeah, I got your attention now. So that never came full circle, but I will tell you, you know, if you're in tomorrow, I'll have some 11 by 17 posters. There's a fan film called Vengeance, Friday the 13th Vengeance. Some of you are not in your head, but you've probably been following. I signed on to be Elias Voorhees. So, and on the top, it says, Father knows best. So, you get any interesting thoughts, start thinking, well, what does Dad have to do? The poster itself, the movie poster, is a picture of me, salt and pepper hair with a goatee and some long hair on one side like a Viking, and then a hockey mask down the side, this side a hockey mask, and it says, Father knows best. So I'll just kind of leave it at that, let you think about it.
So out of all of the Friday the 13th films, besides part 6, which is your favorite?
Were there others?
I don't know, we've been waiting on this 13 forever, I feel like.
You know, I thought, I did like part 7, and it's not because I was attached to it, but I liked the theoretical opportunity that the mind and the power could bring him back from the depth of the lake, and then again, now, I've never been a big fan. I mean, one of the questions, if I can add a question to a question, is that I get is people go, you know, would you do it again? And I think some of you may think, would you? Physically, I'm big enough, probably could knock it out of the park that was given to me. However, to be frank, if the script was well written, and I have the ability now that I can look at the script and say, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm not a big fan of Jason going to Mars.
Space, Jason X, we don't
I'm
talk
not
about
a big fan of Jason versus Predator, or Alien versus Jason, or it's just not my thing. If you as the fans wanted that, it's your thing, but if it was me going against Michael Myers, I'd have to pass. It's just, I don't see the substance if you can't carry the film as one character. However, if the film was something I thought had substance to it, like I think part 6, part 4, part 7, I'd entertain it as long as I could deliver a product as good, if not better than part 6. If I couldn't deliver the product to you, who made the fan base, a better product than part 6, I still wouldn't do it. So if physically I can get up there and give you a Jason that you want, I don't want to see you at a convention when they, God, I really liked you in part 6. It's too bad about part 13. You know what I mean? Because it would be 13.
Yeah, it would be, and that's why the studio's gone back and forth for so long. I feel like there's so much pressure on this film to be so fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that when they come to terms, one of the other challenges has been the 2 principal parties, Mr. Cunningham and Mr. Smith, have different rights to the film. One has, I believe, Friday the 13th, one has Jason. And they've had a problem coming together as a unit to see how they're going to go forward. It's been since 2009. I think we found out when Halloween came out a couple weeks back.
Yes.
It was a huge, $100 million success. But at the end of the day, those 2 parties have to come together and decide, let's put this aside. This is a business person talking now. Let's make the film, let's put the money in a trust, and then we'll fight about who gets what later. But let's don't leave the fans hanging, because the fans are what got us here to begin with, and if you wait too long, they're going to abandon you. At least I would, right? Because there's too much politics or too much capitalism. I realize there's an opportunity here to do a film that will be appreciated. And we'll be number 13, so it's got to be good. So it'll be Friday the 13th, number 13. So, Jason resurrected, maybe? I don't know, I'm thinking out loud. So, hint, hint.
Here, how many people out of the audience was Friday the 13th Part 6 Jason Lives your first Jason experience? Did you see it in theaters? Did you see it on the DVD? What did you think about it when you finished and then watched other Jason films?
I really like this one more than the other ones. It was just really interesting.
Jason's a lot of fun in that one.
It has a different substance to it, and it doesn't have any nudity in it. Think about it. There's a 4-letter word a couple times, and I guess that's nice. You got a ski doo going across and boobity 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 boop. However, not that it's not a beautiful sight in its own, but at the same time, it's horrible. So let's see if we can maintain. Part 6 has no nudity. There's a scene where Darcy's getting on, but there's no breast, there's really very little skin. It's really about the character. And if you think about it, Part 6, I believe, is where Jason came into his own and became the principal of the series. Up to Part 6, Jason was just a character. Mm-hmm. And you had all the counselors engaged in death. And in Part 6, Jason became the principal. All of a sudden, you have the movie is Jason. It's Friday the 13th is that the kid, but it's about Jason.
Yes, even though, Tommy Jarvis makes his return to the screen for the 3rd time as a different character, I always felt the same, that Jason is the one that everybody took away from that film and not Tommy. Yeah, and
Tommy, the nice thing about Tommy Jarvis, Tom Matthews, Tommy Jarvis is that, he is at the end of it, think about it, he didn't die. He still has the ability to come back, going back to Part 13, going back to Father Knows Best. We'll just say, there is always a twist where Tommy Jarvis can be engaged into the next one. Personally, this is me just, again, talking out loud. I would love to see all of the Jasons. There's 9, one passed away, Richard. I'd love to see all the Jasons in the next one as characters that are whacked by the new Jason.
Oh, that's fine.
I mean, think about what I'm saying. So I'm the sheriff.
Yeah.
King Hodder gets to be the mechanic. You know, but you get to see the Jason's face and know, oh, shit, just killed Ted White in the hospital. You know, and knowing that that was Jason Parkour, so the new regaining champion of being Jason takes over as part 13 moves on. But the thing is, there's so many fans that have met Ari and Steve Dash and Richard, for those of you who had the pleasure of meeting Richard, and see, you know, Derek Mears and everybody get whacked. Because everybody wants to know who's behind the mask. You know, like the song, Man Behind the Mask. Who's behind the mask? You know, so to see those characters, I think that'll also be a draw for the film itself to get the audience engaged. Because if part 4 was your favorite and you see Ted White get whacked, if part 7 was your favorite and you see Kane get whacked, it's like, oh yeah. Maybe we can each get killed by our favorite kill. I don't know. You know, like I'll pick up King Hunter and throw him into a tree. How much fun would that be?
So I know you kind of talked about vengeance, and I know we've also discussed about Friday the 13th, part 13. What do you feel like would be a really, really cool premise for that last film?
Well, I think, in my opinion, number 13 has to be the prelude to the series. It's gotta take it to the next level. Now, again, I'm a business person, I look at things a little differently, and it's easy to be an armchair quarterback. All right, for those of you that watch sports and say, oh, he shouldn't have done that, or she shouldn't have done that, or that's because you were in the middle of the heat of the battle. It's easy to say what you should have seen. But as an armchair quarterback, I think whoever does the next should shoot 3 of them in a row. I think it should be a series attached to 13, 14, 15. I think the same Jason in all 3. Maybe a different writer, director, but connectivity and continuity between the 3. No different than a Harry Potter story. 1, 2, 3. You can 2 of them, put them on the shelves, and you release 1. But the other 2 are canned, prepaid, ready to go with connectivity to the part 13. So that you really do something. And we've learned a lot over the years. You can't go left and right on these too much, otherwise you lose fan base. All right? Some people may like Jason Voorhees' face. You know, I'm not a big fan. But I think for continuity purposes, to do 3 of them in a row, you've already got the crews out there, you get the budget together, you got the same Jason physical structure out there. They may not be released for 3 and 5 years, but you get part 13 out, 14 and 15 can come out in 2022 and then 2023. Yeah. But people are anticipating, and there's a connectivity between each one of them, than, well, Jason just went to space. Hey, he's in New York. It just put them together. And if we haven't learned anything, and we've learned that continuity with a Harry Potter or a Vikings or these series that have come out over the years, people resonate to them. You know, so I think there's an opportunity to do 3 of them and can them, and then have a buy-in from the audience.
I've always felt like Jason coming in as such a powerful character that he maintained to have a fan base through going to space and then also going to New York and taking a cruise ship. Like this, it's not another character that I feel like could continue to carry people for so long and
Right.
continue to carry popularity and still get theatrical releases.
And they did a great job with the Halloween that came out. I mean, they were able to bring Jamie Lee Curtis back in a starring role and still be able to keep true to the series. So it makes sense that you could bring them all together. Just look at the opportunities.
So, going in part 6, what was your favorite kill in that film?
Well, earlier I said my favorite kill was the rape in the back. That was my favorite kill. But the most fun was, and I say again, the most fun, was when I twisted the head off. For those of you who don't know the scene, that's where the girl comes out of her slippers and outside the window. First she pours the soda on Jason's head, and you see the slippers, the feet, and her head gets twisted off. The reason it was fun is I'd never met the girl before in my life. All right? So they're trying to figure out how to create a mechanism for her to be airborne out the window. And you see the slippers go about your size. mean, I haven't, you know, still got some arms, boys and girls, okay? So I looked at the stunt corner, and I wrote that, and I said, Michael, I said, if she does it blind, I can put my hand in her crotch and pull her out. True story. He said, what do you mean? I go, I can put my hand in her crotch and pull her out. I mean, what do you weigh, 180 kilo what?
Yes. I'm actually pretty strong.
You know what I'm saying?
I did lift 200 pounds the other day.
But, so, they went to her, and they go, well, and she was out fine. So it's kind of cool, because I just met you, I get my hand in her crotch. Yeah. Come on, guys. So, you know, I have my glove, and, you know, when you do this, guys, think about this, you gotta be careful. I mean, the sensitive area. And I get adjusted. You okay? Yeah, okay. She puts her hands on my shoulders, and I physically, they go, action. I just went like this, and physically left her shoes behind, and all you see is the feet. And pulled her right out like this, and then I sat her back down. So, how often do you get to go out on a date in 5 seconds, put your hands on his crotch? Unless you paid for it. So, true story, funny story, pleasurable story. But just kind of cute, because I didn't know the young lady, and it was like, you know, my hand in your crotch? Okay.
So when you come from convention to convention,
She's blushing.
I'm
Interesting story.
I didn't know this was going to take this turn.
Yeah.
When you come from convention to convention and you dress up as Jason, how long does it take to actually get in the costume? And do you do it yourself, or do you always have someone help you?
Well, what I do is, about 2 years ago, fans came to me and said, you need to do wardrobe. Kane Hodder had done 2 wardrobe shows for part 8, part 7. It took about 4 hours to put in wardrobe because of the way it was. And the director, John, was also a special effects guy who done it. So John would have to come out and do all this. And it took so long to get in wardrobe that it became non-profitable. Fans had come to me and said, CJ, you know, you've got the Batman utility belt, you got this, and my wardrobe was pretty simplistic. It was ex-military, you know, OD green, Vietnam era, you know, weaponry. So the fans helped me, about 6 fans who do special effects helped me put together different parts of it. And then about almost 3 years ago, I did a show, and it was the first time I put the wardrobe on. And once I got the wardrobe on, it was just like, gosh, as soon as I put it on, it was like, yeah, I can do this. But I do have my Ruby, she helps me put it all together because I got to get everything on the hood. Probably weighs 15 pounds all by itself. I mean, it's thick. It's one of those things that when I go through TSA, I have to take it out, put it in a tub because if not, it's so solid they would go through my suitcase. But it takes about 20 minutes.
Oh, really? That's quick.
So it's not that bad. It's really the clothing piece, the hood. When we first made the movie, it took about 2.5 hours to do the makeup. Once we got past the scene of coming out of the grave and I put the hockey mask back on, it simplified where we were ready in an hour to be on set. So it takes me about 20 minutes. And I get it on like today at 6 o'clock, I'll be doing a full wardrobe with Alice Cooper. And I'll be in wardrobe, you'll be in the middle, and Alice Cooper on the side. It's a great Christmas card. That's what I look at it. But I've done a few shows with it now, and then I went back to Kane and started talking to Kane about maybe putting a wardrobe together part 8 and do a joint.
Yeah.
And then Steve Dash put one together from part 2. So we've had a lot of connectivity. A while back we had 6 Jasons in wardrobes. You know, now you can imagine 6 big guys trying to get in front of the photo because, you know, just like anybody taking a picture with a fish, the closer the fish goes to the camera, the bigger it gets. So we all want to be closer to the camera. So all 6 of us plus fans trying to get it. It was fun, but it was challenging. But the singular ones are more fun because I do grab you. You know, I mean, I'll grab your shirt and pull you towards me.
You'll do that terrified face.
Most people are just like more shocked that I can do it. So,
photo op 6:15, correct?
yes.
Just want to double check that. So we're going to be really, really, really awesome. This is so exciting. I'm sitting here and I'm just envisioning this and you dressing up as Jason Part 6 and it's like my childhood has come to life.
You know, and for those of you that are going to do it, I guarantee it, people look at me and I don't, you gotta realize, once I put the wardrobe on, I don't talk. I don't do anything goofy. I don't sit there and smile at you. You know, I slap you. You know, this guy here keeps falling asleep, I'll kick his ass. However, once I put that mask down, it's all business. And even when I'm done shooting, until I get the mask off, it's all business, nothing personal. But I will physically grab you, and a lot of times I like to use the hunting knife because it really shows up well in the photos. But some people say, can you kill me with a machete? Sure, do that. But the knife just shows up because it's just a nice, So for those of you who are going to do it, it'll be fun. Like 6:15, you're right, 6:15, and we did a few last night with Alice Cooper and myself. We expect a few hundred tonight. It should be fun. When I did my very first one, we had 175 people that actually paid, and over 300 people go through the line to take photographs in groups of 1, 2, 3, and 4 with me. So it's a big thing, and I guarantee you that the wardrobe is 95% accurate. The reason I say 95%, it's not the actual wardrobe, because I can say 100, and I don't want to lie because it's not screen worn. However, every single hole is right where it should be. The blood is where it should be. The mask is made off a replica of my mask that I have, which is an original, so everything is spot on. And most people would just stand there. One of the girls last night who was helping with the photos, in between photos, we'd have a break. I'd walk up and stand next to her, and she started sweating. I'm sweating. Because I won't talk. And she's just looking up at me. I put my hand on her shoulder. I'm sweating. And the guys were laughing because she was just nervous because this guy's standing next to you and he's serious, And again, I'm not a little guy by any means. I'm old, but I'm dangerous. I'm old, but I'm dangerous. So.
Will you be dressing up tomorrow as well?
Yes, we're gonna do it again tomorrow. But tomorrow we're gonna do it around 3-ish, and we might do just a little hair early because Alice has to cut out of town. And he wants to do the photo op together again one more time. So,
awesome.
But this will be the first time that Alice and I have ever done the photo op together where I'll be fully decked out. And, for the fans, I think it's cool.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
I will tell you, Alice, my first concert I ever saw in 1972, I was 16. So that's right, do the math, I'm old. All right? So, first concert, didn't get to do something with him 15 years later, do this again over the years. It's a pleasure to land again with him. Just a great guy. Down to earth, just as really can be.
So what do you think, I've always been interested in knowing, what do you think happened between part 4 to part 6? So Jason obviously dies, and then he ends up in a grave at the start of part 6. How is he in this costume? Where did he get these magical gloves from? What are you thinking?
Well, I think everyone that saw part 5, it was just basically an illusion. It was all just somebody having bullshit. And you take a look at it, being in the grave, the gloves come from Tommy.
Yes, that's
They're
right.
indicated, he's got it in his pocket. The mask comes from Tommy, he's got it back in the truck. The spear comes from Tommy pulling it off the fence and stabbing him. Because like he says, he really amped you up, right? And then when the spear gets hit with electricity, like with Frankenstein, he comes back, the spear becomes one of his first weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you think about that, now going to the paintball scene, you see where the triple decapitation is, and then the web belt. I call it the Batman web belt. That's because one of the characters had it was all John Wayne about everything, right? He's gonna kill her, but that's where this all comes together. Being in the grave though, from part 4, they always leave you hanging. Like part 6 to part 7, at the very end of part 6, the eyeball opens, you see the eye, and you hear Alice Cooper's music. Your assumption is, okay, he's not dead. But now what do you do with it? Now what do you do with it? Now, I do understand in the Ninjas, which is the one that's the fan base, which is called Friday the 13th Ninjas. At the end, what they do is the opening scene, I've been told, is Jason walking out of the water with the rock and just drops it. So he's been down there as long as it takes, but rather than coming back with the mind, all of a sudden you just see the head as he walks out. You throw it in, the big rock drops it, and when he drops it, the chain just breaks off the neck. It's kind of an interesting twist, which could be going to a part 13, 14, and 15, how you can connect all the dots where there's some connectivity rather than being all discombobulated. So I'm hoping they do something really cool with the real one that comes out.
That's awesome, yeah. I think everybody here is pretty excited for part 13. I don't know when it's coming. I really was excited, I think 2 or 3 years ago.
2 years ago, they had the camp that we did part 6 at in Covington, Georgia, had been pre-rented out. It was Platinum Dunes, if I recall, and if I do recall correctly, and it was always kind of a hush-hush, but Derek Mears was going to be Jason McCann at that time. I don't know where they'll go now, because those contracts have all expired. Derek had a 2-show contract with them. He may be still available to do it, or they may still use it. But now that it's defaulted back towards Paramount and everybody, I guess you got to see where it goes. The interesting thing, if you look at all the Jasons, does anybody know Derek Mears? Great guy. His passion is improv. Improv. Every Wednesday, I believe it is, and Pasadena and his buddies go do improv. He loves comedy work. I mean, the guy's, all big, like a big J.j.graham. But he loves improv. He's a comedian. And you think he's killing people. But that's just to give you a little insight. Everybody knows Kane Hodder. To hell and back, he was burned very bad and something went bad in Reno. He was doing a stunt for a local TV channel, and they set him on fire with a stunt for the TV channel, and he got burned very severely. So he's got a lot of scars from that. Like you heard me talk about Ted White. Steve Dash, put 10 years with NYPD, and then Taxi Authority, plus his acting, and then Ari, who has about, 6 seconds, 8 seconds in the movie, Ari the first Jason. His career has been musically, he's done everything from jazz to Jamaican to rock. I mean, he's a musician. Don't let him go to a convention, put a guitar next to him or a piano, let's just start singing. I mean, so they all have their specialties. And you guys remember Richard Brooker, who passed away about 3 years ago, part 3, the 3D one? He was a trapeze artist. So you think about it, everybody has some very diverse backgrounds that play Jason.
Yes. So we're going to be wrapping up soon. Photo ops, 6:15, the rest of the day. Let me just ask and say, what are you doing, future projects? I know Vengeance. What else has been on your plate?
I've got 3 letters of intent out there. When I stepped away from the acting, I put my SAG card on, what they call honorable withdrawal. So what you end up doing is have a lot of letters of intents that have come up now. So I look at Fan 13, which is Tom Matthews, and everybody's involved with it. Tom McLaughlin, the writer director, has approached me and doing a project with him. We'll see where that goes. The Vengeance is being post-production. They've already started shooting some of that. Steve Dash already did his scene as the sheriff, so that's all been canned. Like I said, tomorrow I'll have some posters from that on my table. But I think what I'm going to do now is just take a hard look. The cool thing for me is Vengeance is a good example. I was able to take my salary and donate it to the Shriners Children's Hospital. I'm in a good space where I'm okay and I can do things for others more so and have a return. I've actually thought about running for superintendent where I live, going into politics. But if I did, I'll say it on record, and for the record, I'll just donate my salary. It's not about the change that are going to pay me, but when I ran Casino Resorts, I did run a $500 million organization with 2,500 employees. I mean, I'm doing the numbers, like I said, my business sense tells me, my payroll is 104 million, my marketing budget was 75 million. So I think I could be a superintendent and look at some opportunities to brighten up futures. And then whatever I can do, I do things around where I'm at. I did a charitable thing for Halloween for the fire station, volunteer fire station, signing for all the kids. Went down to the bowling alley in town, and they had an open trunk thing for Halloween with all the kids, signed autographs. So for me, it's more about trying to get something back on the other side. In 2 months, I start collecting my Social Security. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. I'm 62. So I'm excited about that. I had no idea I'd make it this long. I thought I'd be dead in 40. But anyway, another story. But so to me, it's a little bit of, I've climbed the mountains, been successful. A lot of it because of my fans. A lot of it because I work hard and I see both sides of the street.
Yep.
There's never a right way. There's always a happy way and a medium way. We can all, learn from that. My girls are 19, 22, my boy's 23. And they're all different than me. One of them is a baker. One of them does hair and makeup. And the boy works at a dispensary selling drugs. It's his thing. He's been to school for 4 years and he's very successful at it. And who am I to say that it's wrong? I mean, okay. So, but I think, you know, if you take a look at it, you know, military 44 years ago, I think that was the base for who I am today. For those of you that have served, I always say thank you for your service, even though I didn't, but I always say thank you for the ones that didn't come home. Those are the ones that paid the ultimate price. The rest of us may have a hearing loss like I do, or God forbid, missing fingers and legs, but the ones that didn't come home are the ones that I thank. So